In this quick video guide, I want to show you how you can use Photoshop to create a better sketches and better drawings, technical drawings or hand-drawn sketches for your project in design or architecture. Now, these are some examples of design sketch, and you can use these for automotive design or apparel design, whatever you need to do. And also, I found these sketches in raw pixel that we can use. So you can see we have like t-shirts and different types of dresses. You also can use photographs as well. And if you're interested more in this usage of Photoshop, you can check the Photoshop video course in the channel. So I'm just gonna use like a really simple t-shirt here. So you see this is a free t-shirt, so I'm just gonna open it up and just download it. This is, you can see, public domain. So I can choose the file size and just free download. You need to join in to download in raw pixel. And also I found some architectural floor plan views here. So ground floor or well, apartment floor plan views that we can use again to make it better in Photoshop, using Photoshop. So I'm gonna select perhaps this one here, which is already colored, but we can change the color and we can perhaps make a little bit better with the texture. There are some texture here in some areas, so we're gonna work in the areas that don't have a texture yet. Now you see that for some files you also have SVG, which is scalable vector graphics, and you have I'm gonna download this like 4K, so we have a lot of pixels we can work with. And there you go, now is downloading. And some other images you have vector graphics again, which could be like CAD or DWG. So perhaps you made this with a CAD application like AutoCAD or LibreCAD or similar, and you want to make it just a little bit better and more interesting using colors and textures without going in the 3D world. And then you see we have vector JPEG. So we have raster graphics with pixels or vector graphics. Now in this case, I'm gonna use again the JPEG. So I'm gonna use pixels, not raster graphics. But if you're interested in knowing more about raster graphics or vector graphics, just check the other courses that we have in the channel, like AutoCAD course. And if you want like an open source alternative, you can check LibreCAD, and also Illustrator for vector graphics is really good. And you can also do some filling in there, but you probably want to use vector graphics instead. So I'm going to open these files that I just downloaded. I'm going to go here in the download folder, and I'm going to select the two images here and open them in different files. Just gonna say okay here, and there you go. So we have the two different situations. And first thing I want to do is create a new layer. I want to use the paint on another layer so that I can always go back without affecting the original pixel layer. And this is just to draw with the brush tool. So you can sketch and draw, of course, also here in Photoshop. And now let's like create another one. If you want to fill with color, we can use the bucket fill, paint bucket. So you just click, but look what happens. Now it's gonna like fill the whole layer. Why? Because it doesn't find the limits. Now we need to select here all layers. So it's gonna take into consideration also the other layers that are available at the moment. So I'm just gonna go back before the filling and then make sure that all layers is activated. You can also activate contiguous if you want like more the pixels that are next to the other. And then you need to set the tolerance and all these other factors here, like the blending mode and the color that you want to use. In this case is going to be foreground. Let's make it a little bit like more yellowish. So I'm going to click, and you see now that I filled a lot of the image. So I can decrease the tolerance a little bit, so it's not gonna like flood everywhere. And let's like uncheck contiguous. So you see that when you uncheck contiguous, it's gonna fill again everything which is transparent pixel right now. So contiguous is important to have kind of a limit. So you see I'm dropping down the tolerance even more, but there you go. So I can go one by one here. And why does it fill everything? Probably because there is a gap somewhere. So let's zoom in, and probably the gap is right here. So I'm gonna go in the image, make sure that all the gaps are closed. I'm just gonna like paint with a small portion here, the gaps on top of the gaps. And then go back to the fill layer and continue to fill. There you go. Again, we have some gaps somewhere. So we need to be uh, very careful where to find out what that gap is, probably here. So we're just gonna go around and try to close all the gaps. And this could be a little bit frustrating sometimes. And also here you have, since it's a sketch, you probably have a lot of gaps. So you want to make sure that you cover them up. And there you go. Now we can fill the rest here of the image. Now I don't want to fill everything, just to show you that how it's done. Otherwise it's going to be too long. And now that we have the fill, we can decide what to do with this layer. So for example, if I go in this layer right here that I can turn on and off, I can use the layer style. So if I double click with the layer style, I can add different effects like inner glow, or perhaps stroke, if you want to stroke around, like to have an extra stroke. Maybe I will do this black. And then, well, the most interesting things here are the color overlay. So I can add another color on top of that. And then I can also use the gradient overlay. Now, the color will go on top of the gradient. So I need to turn off the color, or I can change here the type of blending mode. Again, I'm going pretty quick, but if you're interested in Photoshop, you find an entire video course in the channel. So, just gonna experiment here with blending modes. And then we have the pattern overlay. And again, you need to make the top part, which is the gradient overlay, blend with the pattern. Now, this is the original pattern, which I created, and I'll show you how to create a pattern in another video. So you will find it in the channel. You see, you can create different textures, different pattern that you can play with, and also like more realistic pattern, like using materials. So this is kind of a carpet material. So you can test a lot of effects by applying all these others. Also, drop shadow here could be interesting to have like shadow coming from that t-shirt like that. Okay, so it's kind of coming out. And there you go. So we can, play a lot with different effects and see what's gonna happen using different blending modes. So I think that's good enough. Let's go in the architectural drawing. So I'm gonna say, okay, let's move to this other image. Well, here we already have some coloring. So what we can do is create other layers by selecting with the color. So I can select a type of color and just change it. So if I go to select, you cannot find it here, but if you go in the select menu, you find the, let me see here, color range. So if I click on this, you see I have selected this color. Then I can adjust the fuzziness, which is kind of, again, like a threshold. And then you have the range, probably 100%. So make sure that you select only the area that you're interested in. And let's also like detect phases. And you see here, we can make some experiments with localized color clusters. So probably, yeah, that's the best we can do right now. And we can also see the original image here and the selection, or we can change the selection preview to better see what we are selecting. Also with a quick mask, we can see what we are selecting. And I'm pretty happy with this, so I'm gonna say okay, and that's gonna create a selection. And then I'm going to isolate this by going here to the select tool and right click and do a layer via copy. So now you see I've isolated this layer, and again, this is already filled, but I can fill it up again with another color. So let's make this like a little brownish. So I can fill the various areas one by one if I use all layers, or if I delete all layers, I can only work with this one. And these are not contiguous. So what I can do is try to deactivate contiguous. So it's gonna fill everything up real quick. So this is one way again to use color. And then if I go again in the layer panel, layer style panel, I can start again. So let's try like also to add some inner shadow. And I want to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it's creating shadows all around the place. And let's increase, and this is green right now, so let's make it black. Make sure everything is kind of, um, the correct color, and maybe just a slight shadow is going to be fine. So not too much, not too distant. Needs to be really, soft. And that's gonna like enhance some details as well. And then again, we have the same things we saw before. So I can then go over with a color overlay. So test different colors, see if I like one more than the other, or I can go just with the gradient, or better with the overlay. So let's say I want to create a moquette or a carpet effect. Again, I have the texture ready, then I just need to scale it in the correct size. Now you can create your own textures as I was telling you before, and then you find some presets already in Photoshop that you can use, or you can click here and append the default patterns or import other patterns. So if you just go on the web, just apply this first. So any image can become a texture. You need to adjust it a little bit, and again, you'll find other guides in the channel talking about textures. But if you don't want to spend time creating customized textures, what you can do is just go to Google and search for download Photoshop pattern wood, for example, if you want to place a wood, and you'll find some website that gonna let you download patterns which are in the pat format. So you need that, and that's gonna be usable. So you see here, this is again from raw pixel, and just need to make sure that it's a pattern. If it's not a pattern, you need to create a pattern out of that image, but it's not difficult. It's just in another video guide. You can also use hatches, so technical fillings that are used in architecture design, interior design, automotive design, and so on. So you find also, again, a lot of ready-made assets that you can use. And again, you need to make sure that it's pat, otherwise you need to create the texture yourself in Photoshop. Now, for example, here I have this other layer. Again, I think the quickest way, you can use other selection tools here, like the quick selection, but you need to adjust things, or perhaps the magic wand as well can be a quick way to select different areas. But I think the best way is with the color selection. So it's gonna, when you have a situation like this, that there are already some colors applied, it's quicker. Otherwise, you need to go like one by one and then right click. I'm just gonna, yeah, I can do it from here. Layer via copy. Okay, this area is empty. Why? Because I'm in this other layer. So I need to go back to this layer, right click and layer via copy. So I have another layer now, which is the walls. So I separate all the layers, and this is something you need to set up in, again, AutoCAD or technical drawing software. And once I do that, let's try here with a more like technical pattern, which is this one here that I created, kind of a oblique line. It's not precise, it's kind of sketchy, but just to show you that you can create your pattern. And again, you can work with the blending modes, make it overlay to the previous color or change the color and so on. So this is gonna be it for this video guide. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe to the channel to stay updated and to support us. If you want to support us a little bit more, you can join the channel as a supporter. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video guide.